Okay, in this assignment, I want you to do a few simple things. Basically, I want you to create at least 4 unique materials per shader ball. But before we get started, let me show you some things you need to keep in mind. So please pay attention. You should have Node Wrangler enabled. Make sure you do that. It's an add-on. You're going to download this file, and it's going to have this layout. So, in order to switch, hold Shift down when you click the visible icon. That will recursively go through the entire tree. And then when you do your final renders, this camera icon means it's visible in renders. So whichever shader ball you select, you need to hit Shift and click this. To deselect it, hold Shift, select it, Shift. Okay? There's 3. One is a cloth, this one's hard surface, and this one's a liquid shader ball. Shader balls are commonly used for materials and the way to view things. We'll start with this one. So this is already laid out. This is your node editor. Okay? But keep this in mind. So if you go to your properties window, you go to the little sphere. This is your materials section. You'll have a list here. So this is one way to look at what's going on. The other thing is up in your shader editor at the top. You can click this drop down. We can hit escape, create a new one. So we'll do all that material too. And this is now applied to just this section, okay? So you can click through all of it if you want, but here's a faster way. In your outliner, right click on that collection, select this option, select objects. It's going to select everything. Then you'll notice there's a lighter outline. So click the one, we just changed that, but if you didn't change one yet, then you can just change the material. So we can do that again. We'll do that. Material 3. Okay, so this is our active selection. We can actually copy over all the materials to the rest of the object. If we go to Control L, it's our link menu, and we do link materials. Okay? All right. So one thing you'll probably want to do, you'll want to be in material preview mode. You can test your materials here. And then I set this file to be cycles by default, but if your computer isn't good enough, in your properties window, go to the little camera button. You can switch it to cycles, or to Eevee, sorry. Then if we go to our rendered mode, we can see that it's the same render engine that we were using in Material Preview. If your computer's good enough, just keep it on cycles. Okay. Now, if you hit 0 on your numpad, we can get to the camera, or click this button here. That's going to take us to our default camera. Then when we go to rendered mode is using our scene lights and the materials. Then you can test what it'll look like in the end. We can swap back to material preview and start playing with things here. The other thing I want you to do in this assignment is to test out different HDRIs, and I'm going to give you a link in Canvas for a website to go look. You can get textures and HDRIs, but here's how you switch it. So I set it up already. You scroll over to the end of our material editor. We switch to world mode. This is all set up. So all you have to do, hit an X and add a new one. X, open. Find your downloaded HDRIs. And we can see this is now different. Okay. When you're in material preview mode, we can do that as well. So there's some HDRIs built into our look dev mode. We click our drop down when we're in material preview mode. You can click this button and cycle through. Then you may want to switch back. Well, you will have to switch back to object mode in your material editor. Okay, so a few things to know about the material editor here. So I want you to play around with some basic things. You can use different shaders, and then in the texture menu, just play around with some of these. So here is a general workflow that will help you get started. We can do a noise texture. If you hit N and you have Node Wrangler set up, go to the Node Wrangler tab. Any texture input you have selected, click this button, Add Texture Setup. It's going to set this up for you. Okay. Now, also with Node Wrangler enabled, if you hold Control-Shift and click any node, it's going to set up a way to preview it. Control-Shift, Control-Shift. Then you can play around with this stuff. Okay, I might have to fix these UVs before I give you this file. Or maybe the scale. Okay. So, if you've got weird scale issues, you can switch it to object. You'll see you can also switch it to UV. This is how we're projecting it. I'm going to keep my procedural textures on object because it's seamless. Okay, so once you have that kind of thing going on, we can use a color ramp. We pipe this in here, Control-Shift to preview. Now it's going to remap all the color values. You can pipe this into base color. Okay, something weird happened and I had to fix it. So we pipe our color ramp in to our base color, and we can see this is going on. And so the different pipes and inputs. Yellow means it kind of wants color. Blue means it wants vector data, which it could be also color. And gray means it wants a float value, so a single value, 0 to 1 usually. The one way, well, this is already a 0 to 1. So if you want to stick this in metallic, for example, and we could also stick it in roughness. One thing we can do as well is if we do object info, we can do a bunch of things. This will give us the location. We could take our object data and split it into X, Y, and Z, and then we can kind of get some interesting gradients, remap that in a color ramp, pipe that in. Okay. So some things to know. So I gave you these 3 different shader balls. This is just so you can preview different things. I'm gonna have a few materials you can base things off, but I want you to play around. For example, this liquid shader ball. If you're only using Eevee, it might not look great. You have to set up transparent materials in the correct way. But in Cycles, we can see that we've got a glass material, another material, and then a third material. So feel free to mix and match. Especially this one, if you really want to. You can mix up materials, play around with it. And that is what I want. So 4 unique materials per shader ball. And I want them named cloth shader ball material 1, 2, 3, and 4. Hard surface shader ball material 1, 2, 3, and 4. And liquid shader ball material 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you've got other, well, with the liquid one, at least 4 different liquids. You could have different glasses, things like that. Okay, also if you're using Cycles and you have a nice GPU, switch this to GPU. Go to System in your preferences and choose CUDA or Optics, depending on what GPU you have. These little things here. This is a look dev scene. So we've got our color palette preview, see what our color management and lights are doing, a chrome ball and a matte ball to help us understand our HDRI. The other thing you can do is in material preview, we can turn on okay, I could gone now. I don't know why. Sometimes you can turn on your own, like, built-in chrome and matte balls. So I'm not sure why. Okay. Now for rendering. So I'm gonna select these. We're just gonna do material 1. Control L to link materials. Okay. Go to my camera mode. So 2 ways to render. Render image or hit F12. This is cycles. Oh, I gotta delete that piece. With cycles, you gotta wait. It's still working. Once it's done, you can go to image save. Save that and name it. So I want, for each material, I want an image rendered out. Now you do the same thing with Eevee. Okay, it'll be a little faster. You can see it doesn't look as good. If you are using Eevee, it is a game engine renderer. You gotta do a few things. I'm just gonna get rid of this real quick. Okay. So in your render settings, shadows, let's see, indirect lighting. Click bake indirect lighting. You can check on auto bake. And if you're not using Aces, I'm assuming, you can switch your color management to Filmic. It'll look nice. And you may want to also play with your lights if you're using Eevee. Click on your light, go to your lighting tab. You can make things a little brighter. Okay, so they're different render engines, so keep that in mind. And we can see the quality difference here with cycles. Okay. So 4 unique materials per shader ball. Rendered out images. And then I want a video showcasing what you've done. I just want you to play around with things, okay?